10 hot soldiers. Sergeant Wow here. And you know what that means. It's time for another random talk. But what are we going to talk about today? Yes, that's right. We're talking about Lost. And I know what you're thinking. Lost? Why would you talk about that show? It's freaking confusing. You can't follow it. Well, because I freaking love that show personally. I don't know what you think, but I love that show. For my fellow Lostians out there, probably know that the final season started last night. And oh, what a premiere it was. If you thought that you were getting confused with the show before, be glad you stopped watching it when you did, because it just got way more confusing. Recap. The end of the 4th season, in the 70s, Dharmaville, right? Faraday had the plan to blow up the atom bomb. Hydrogen bomb? Atom bomb? Hydrogen bomb? So they did, right? And they thought that it worked. The beginning of the first episode of the final season was Jack sitting on a plane, right? Everything's cool. They hit some turbulence and you think the plane's gonna go down. But it doesn't. They land in LAX and it's cool. Cuts to commercial. When we get back, Kate's hanging in a tree. And then she goes and she finds Jack. And then Sawyer's there too, and so is Jen, Sayid, and Hurley. So we've got this deal going on. Parallel universes. Bomb worked, bomb didn't work. Another thing that happened at the end of the 4th season was Ben killed Jacob. Hurley's been seeing dead people all throughout the show. Who does Hurley see? None other than the Jacob, freshly dead about an hour ago, coming to see Hurley because Hurley's taking care of Sayid, who's been shot. Jacob tells Hurley to take Sayid to the temple. Hurley says, I don't know how to get to the temple. Jacob says, oh, Jen knows how. Just ask him to take you to the place where he went with the French team, with the hole in the wall. So Hurley says this to Jen, and Jen's like, yeah, I can take you there. So they go there. And they take Sayid through the hole in the wall, and they're going along, and Kate splits off from the group and gets lost. Jack goes after her and hears Hurley yelling, and then can't find him. And then Jack gets jumped by these guys, who take them to what the real temple is, whereas they only thought was the temple, was the wall surrounding it. So they get the temple, and this Asian guy comes out there and starts speaking his Asian language. And his translator is all like, what are you guys doing here? And they're like, we need to save our friend. And then the Asian guy looking all badass over there is just like, says something in his Asian language, and his translator says, kill them. But wait a minute, Hurley's got a trick up his sleeve. He says, wait a minute, Jacob sent us. And they're like, what? So after they've confirmed that Jacob has sent this group of people to them, the Asian guy again says something in his Asian language, and his translator is all like, bring him to the spring. And they're like, what spring? So they grab Sayid's body and take him into this inside of the temple. And there's this like hot tub going on in there. And so they put Sayid in it. And then he starts moving around again, but they hold him in it until like he stops moving again. And they're like, I'm sorry, he's dead. So you're just like, what? Lo and behold, a few minutes later, Sayid gets up. And then that's the end of the episode. And then you're just like, what? I'd like to say a few of the questions that I had at the end of this episode. 1. Is Sayid really alive? Or is it just Hurley seeing dead people again? 2. What's with the temple and the Asian guy? Who are these people? 3. The flight attendant from Oceanic 815 was part of that temple people. How did she get there? 4. What's with the parallel universe? Are they ever going to link? Will they see their other selves? And 5. During the parallel universe where everything went okay, the plane was flying over the island and it was underwater. So if there's parallel universes, how is the island underwater but there's people on it? However, I'm very happy that they finally, thank you, answered one of the questions that I've had since the very beginning of the show. The black smoke. They explained the black smoke. Apparently, Jacob has a nemesis. And he has done everything in his power since Oceanic 815 got there to find a loophole to kill Jacob, because he hates Jacob for whatever unforeseen reason that we don't know yet. So he's been the Black Smoke all this time, and he's also been Jack Shephard's dad, and he's been John Locke since they got back on the island, and you're like, I thought he was dead. And he's been Ben Ben's dead daughter. Well, I'm glad that they explained that. Well, I hope that you've enjoyed this episode, me rambling on about a show that probably not a lot of people watch. But I guess that's it until the next episode of Random Talk. So, at ease, soldiers.